So today we're going to be talking to C. Flemish. So C. Flemish is an award-winning author that writes stories carved from shadows and memory, where history echoes in horror and waits just beneath the surface. He's a former firefighter and veteran. Where did you, Army, Navy, Air Force, what?
Well, I did some Army time. I did 4 years in Army, and then I did 4 years in the Air Force. So I'm originally from Belgium. So that's where I came from. And C stands for Chris, so you could just call me Chris.
His new novel, Diablo Canyon, which we will discuss today, blends historical fiction with supernatural terror, horror, weaving a multi-generational story of vengeance, betrayal, and the terrifying legacy left behind. He does have one previous book, The Devil's Whorehouse. Very interesting title. A discussion of that book probably be very interesting.
I'm always open for it.
But today we're going to discuss the book Diablo Canyon. The first thing that came to my mind when I heard the title of your book was a story of cowboys and Indians fighting in a canyon of death. I was sadly mistaken. It's not what the book is about at all. But he has everything in the story. It's a story of multiple eras. It's a story of death, monsters, a washed-up writer, killing, rape, revenge, things that crawl out of the ground that should stay in the ground, things that inhabit the water that are not fish, things that are evil, beheading, lots of blood, and more. So, Mr. C, or Chris, to give the readers a quick thumbnail description of what your book is about, if you would.
So my novel, Diablo Canyon, I don't know if you can see it, is pretty much a story, and I like that you kind of thought it was a Western. It's a story of family, in my opinion. It's a story about history. It's the deeper part of us getting lost and losing some of the things that are most important to us, which is your family, which is the people that you love. I started writing this story when I lived in Los Angeles, just north of Los Angeles, at a place called Elizabeth Lake. And when we lived there for a while, I started hearing a lot of stories about the lake and kind of myth and ghost stories. And I found out that the lake used to be called La Laguna del Diablo, and that in the 1700s, people thought that the lake was haunted. And because all the cattle died and people moved out of the area. And that really inspired me to kind of dig deeper into those myths. And I found a lot of really cool stories. So it is in multiple timelines. So there are some things that happened in the 1500s, and that started the creation of the lake. And pretty much the devil created the lake to house his pet. It was causing too much ruckus in hell, so he created a place for it to be safely contained. There's some things that happened in the 1500s. It's based on some Native American tribal folklore. The Tatavian Indians that lived in California are involved in that. And then in the 1700s, 1784, Tiburcio Vasquez, after the United States acquired California from Mexico, Tiburcio Vasquez is a real bandito that lived in California, or really kind of, they called him the Robin Hood of his days. And they rob a church, and then they kind of trigger a series of events that undo what was done in the 1500s. And then we have today a washed up writer, which so many books are always about writers and their battles. And he's fallen prey to the fame and the glory and the drugs, and he's down on his luck, and he's about to lose everything, his family, his career. And as a last resort, he tries to find a piece of tranquility where he can refocus and save his career, save his family. And well, it's going to be a really, really tough battle for him to do any of that. So it's all about that's why I say it's about family. It's about finding yourself and fighting for what is most dear to you, without, of course, giving too much away.
Okay, I'm going to read just a little piece from your book, and if you would, while I'm doing that, maybe you could pick a piece from the actual book that you have there that you might think would be a good piece to let people hear. So this is a sort of a spooky part of your book, which is most of your book is spooky. So anyways, so let me get this ready here, and then we'll go with it. So Jack staggered back, shielding his face. They crawled across his skin, skittering through his hair, filling his ears with their maddening drone. The man's body deflated, his skin collapsing inward, shriveling like an old discarded husk. His eyes sank deep into his skull, leaving behind only two gaping black voids. Then he laughed, a deep, hollow, inhuman laugh. The voice slithered into Jack's mind. "You are mine now, Jack. You are mine." Jack's body locked in place, the laughter reverberating inside his skull. Then silence. The flies scattered. The only thing left was a pile of drenched clothes. Jack panted, sweat mixing with light water. This can't be real. Sirens wailed in the distance. Dogs howled in response. Jack knelt, his hands searching through the soggy fabric. No body. No blood. Nothing. A chill crawled up his spine. Then he whispered in his ear, "We will see you soon, Jack." So, in fact, Jack hears things in his head a lot of times, I noticed in the book. I think one of them was, one of the things that I thought was interesting was, "There's no escape. You belong to me." So this actually reminded me of Stephen King's story, Storm of the Century, where we got a very evil person there who actually has the whole village under his control, and he just says, "Give me what I want, and I'll go away. Come right in if you live in sin." Anyways, I like that piece that you have there, and that so often he's delusional or something's wrong because he thinks things are happening. And a little more information about the writer, about his wife and about his daughter. And the fact that he has a drinking problem, he has marital problems, but she sticks with him, maybe or maybe not. And why has he got to this point where he's in such a destructive mode, where he is sort of destroying himself after he has received at least a little bit of notoriety as a writer, and now he has to get a book out, and he's not doing what he should be doing.
Right. So Jack Morrison is a deeply flawed individual. He's fighting a lot of demons from his past. He's a veteran. He started writing, as so many of us do, after service, and then he kind of got trapped into the traps and the claws of Hollywood, into fame and money, and what was most important in his life, a life of service, a life of family, no longer became his priority. And so he started to drink. He started to go to all these events that they expect you to go to. And I have a lot of friends, personal friends, who are in the movie industry or the music industry. And I have seen them too fall prey to the lure of fame and fortune. And it's a slow death. if you do not escape. So with Jack being a flawed individual, he first thinks he's doing it for his family, right? He's going to all these events, he's networking, he's doing book signings and so on, he's doing movies, and now he's writing, and he's becoming very, very successful. But as such, he's making his work, he's making money the most important thing in his life, and not his family. Where his wife has supported them ever since they met for many, many years ago. They have a beautiful daughter. Things are starting to unravel. You know, she knows that he's cheating on her. She sees that his inspiration is no longer there. His work is no longer the quality that it once used to be. And one day he has a falling out with her, pushing him to the brink of suicide even. And he finally gets help. And then the help is to kind of go to Diablo Canyon, to the lake, and to find a more peaceful retreat where he's not constantly tempted by beautiful women and parties and drugs and alcohol. And so they're trying to rebuild their life. They're trying to rebuild their family, not knowing that they have been lured up there for a reason. And all sorts of other things are going to happen, which will force Jack to really make his family a priority, or to lose them forever. So that's the choice internally. That's a transition from the beginning of the book towards the end, where he has to make some really difficult choices, and the choice is that he needs to choose his family over nothing else.
This one monster that you have, which I cannot pronounce, starts with D.
Mhm.
So could you pronounce it for me?
It's called the Dwyrolith. The
Okay.
Dwyrolith. It's a
Is
monster
it
I
something you made
created.
up, or is it something that actually is believed to exist?
So the Dwyrolith is a monster I made up. For years, I started researching monsters and ghouls and creatures, and I thought, how fun would it be if I could come up with a new monster? But obviously, fans of the horror and supernatural are going to be very, very critical of that, and maybe think that I took the easy way out. So I didn't want to do that. So I looked through a lot of books, historical documents, and as faith happens, is there is a creature called the Jenny d'Anvers, and you might have seen it. It is a dried up ray, and in the 14th, 15th century, sailors used to take their rays and they would kind of dry them out and cut them like a little devil's man, almost like you will see little fins cut out and little arms. They call it, like, that's where the term merman came from. And they were sold in Antwerp in the harbor. That's what's called Jenny d'Anvers. D'Anvers is the French for Antwerp, the country I came from in Belgium. And they were sold as trinkets for people's curiosity cabinets. And I thought, how cool would it be if there would be some creature, the devil's pet? Obviously, it's not going to be a beautiful or a very nice pet. Um, how cool could it be if the devil had a pet and it was such a rambunctious pet that he said, I can't handle it. Get rid of this thing. It needs to go somewhere else. And so I like bats. I live in Austin, here to Austin, Texas. And our symbol of the city are bats. We have millions of bats. I think we have the largest urban population of bats here in Austin, 20 million bats, I believe. And when I saw the Chenin d'Anvers from Antwerp, obviously that's my heritage in Belgium, I combined the two. What if you would have a large, super, super large a fish with a bat? And that's how I came up with the Dwyrolith, which is a combination of two mythological creatures.
And I noticed also in your book that you focus a lot on crows. And as you can see in my background, by the way, I'm sitting in a
Oh yeah,
graveyard
I
right
love it. I love it.
in your book. And you can see the crows flying around in the background and everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you have buried there, but nonetheless, I went here to talk to you from your graveyard.
Yeah.
So, so what is the significance of the crows? Is there significance, or they're
Oh
just
yeah.
in there as a something to make it a little more spookier?
Yeah. So as a child, I've always been fascinated by crows. As a young child, 5 or 6, I think it was 5 or 6, I once nursed a crow back to health that was injured. And for the longest time, it would follow me riding my bike to school and back and forth. And I would be there when I would leave school, and I would be there in the morning to fly with me to school. I've always find them extremely fascinating. And throughout history and in many books, crows have significance in myth. Obviously, we have them in the Norse myths, in the Greek myths. There's so many references to crows and ravens. And then obviously they are considered the carriers of souls between different realms. And so there's a lot of spiritual importance to the crows. And I just like them as a creature. I think I always enjoy when somebody uses them in a story or in a movie. I think they're beautiful. I think they're highly, highly intelligent. And yeah, they just fascinate me. And so when I started writing the book, one of my, I'd maybe call him an anti-hero in the book, is one of the crows. He's called 22 in the book because he was shot with a 22 rifle and it shot out one of his eyes, but he never died. He's kind of the gatekeeper. Well, I wouldn't say the gatekeeper, but he plays a really big role in the Diablo Canyon story. And I just think crows bring so much to the story. There's
Yeah, I
this,
still have 22.
yeah. So, I mean, sometimes you don't even have to say something about it. Like in a movie or in art, in paintings, you just see a crow or a raven and it just forms its own story. So I really, really enjoyed that, how they became part of the story, because it wasn't planned. I mean, the way I write, I just start with a concept and I'll let the story take me where it needs to take me. And so it just all happened. It just all came together beautifully, very organically. So it wasn't really planned or anything like that, but it just happened to be that way. And I'm glad you like crows too.
So when you sleep, do you have dreams of things coming out of the ground, reaching up to you?
Right. So I normally don't dream. I never have dreamt. It's really weird. I don't know if that's because of my military training or whatever, because I believe as a child I dreamt, but I have no recollection of ever dreaming, which is weird when I tell people that. And so you read the afterword. It kind of explains how this story came to me. For many, many years, I couldn't sleep, especially after I left the military. I had a lot of PTSD, would wake up in the middle of the night screaming, maybe sleep 2 or 3 hours at a time, and at best. And so we lived in Los Angeles, where every day you can set your clock by when the helicopters fly by. Every day at 11 o'clock sharp, a helicopter would fly by and shine their lights on the buildings. And so it was very chaotic, very loud, which only triggered my PTSD and made it harder for me to find rest. So a few years later, we moved to Elizabeth Lake, just north of California. It's where they filmed Seven was filmed there, my favorite movie, by the way. And then also where they filmed a lot of Justified and CSI Las Vegas. And it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful area. I tried to kind of give homage to the area in the book because it's almost a love letter to Elizabeth Lake because it's such a beautiful area. Um, and I just started sleeping with the windows open and just hearing the crickets and the coyotes and just tranquility. So maybe a few months, maybe a year in living there, one day I had a dream. And I woke up and I told my wife, "Oh my God, I had a dream," because she always tells me her very vivid dreams. She comes up with the coolest dreams, and I'm just very jealous of her that I wanted to experience that too because I don't know what it is. And so I had a dream about a boy, and she said, "Well, what did he say? What did he do?" I said, "Nothing. It was just a small young boy between the ages of 7 or 9 years old." "Did he say anything?" He said, "No, he just stood there." So for the next few weeks, I just constantly had the same dream. That little boy just stood there and looked at me. And as time progressed, the dream started to progress. So one day he just pointed at me. He just stood there and pointed at me. I'm trying to wrap my head around what is this? I Googled it, significance of dreams, or I just couldn't figure it out. And then one day he pointed and said he wants you to write it. And I saw a flash of a dead tree, a tree that had been burned by a wildfire. And if you have seen wildfires and trees after wildfire, it's like a cluster of claws kind of clawing together. And because of how the fire scorched it. And after that, I never dreamt again. Still till today, it's been 12 years. I still don't dream. Um,
Or you
and
don't
all,
remember them.
or maybe, yeah, that's a fact too, right? But I never do. So I sleep very solid, very hard. And but we were driving up and down the canyon that we have to do every day to get to our house. And all of a sudden, I tell my wife, stop the car. She said, what's going on? I said, stop it. And I looked to our left, and there was the tree from my dream. And that's when I started writing Diablo Canyon. So it took me
Oh,
almost 12 years to write it, but I did it. So I never
really?
get,
12 years. Wow.
yeah.
So if someone made a movie of it, who would play Jack?
Sorry?
If they made a movie of your book, who would play Jack? Who would you want to play Jack?
That's a good question.
Don't say me. I'm not a good actor.
Well, I did have some actors in mind for some of the roles. And for Jack, I was actually thinking of the jump. I mean, his name is eluding me right now. The gentleman who played the TV series with I think it was called Mad Men, with the advertising series. The lead gentleman who played that.
With Batman?
No, Mad Men. Yeah, let me see here. Mad Men cast. And John Hamm. I would.
Oh, I like him.
I
Yeah.
think John Hamm would be a good one. Um, I I, I don't know
I
if
think
this
he'd
was.
do a good job.
Oh yeah,
Although I never see him in a horror movie, but nonetheless,
I think
you know,
he has that depth that he can
yes,
carry.
yeah.
And
Um, so, who should be reading your book? What is the audience that you think would appreciate your book, and why should they read your book?
well, I think I tell a very compelling story. Um, I've been reading my entire life, and I love horror. I mean, I saw Nosferatu when I was 6, so please don't hold against my parents. But I mean, that love for horror, that passion for horror was kindled very early on. And I think people who enjoy a good story, it is not splatterpunk, it's not splatter horror, it's not extreme horror. Although I think some scenes are, some people have told me that they had to put the book down for a minute, but it all is functional. So I think people who love, obviously, Stephen King, Dean Koontz, Joe Hill, the traditional horror lover, but also if you love supernatural, if you love a good action story about a family that's trying to do anything it can to survive, if you like monsters, I mean, I created a few new monsters that I've personally have never seen in any movies or read about in books. If you like some historical facts, if you like to know more about the area around Elizabeth Lake, 60% of all the things I talk about have really happened. There's historical facts for them. The Tatavian tribe has a very beautiful culture. I think incorporating some of the Native American stories in books is a great thing to do. And I kind of almost wrote it like Pulp Fiction, where you have to read through the books and you see the different timelines, and at the end, the bigger picture becomes unveiled to you. It's like in the beginning, you're like, where's this going? Okay, this is cool, this is cool. But at the end, it all makes sense. And yeah, so if you like horror stories, if you like spooky stories, if you like something different, but not just blood and gore for the purpose of blood and gore, there's actually a meaning behind it. There's a deeper meaning to the book, in my opinion. I think Diablo Canyon could be a good book for you.
Will there be another? Is this just a standalone novel? Period. There will
Yes,
be no more.
it's a standalone. it's its own story. I am writing three other books. We talked about before, The Devil's Whorehouse is a novella. It's about 30 pages. It's about vampires. It's about something that I have never read about. It's actually about a mating ritual amongst vampires. And people who've read it seem to have really, really enjoyed it. So that's a fun one you can pick up that I have out right now. The other thing for anybody who's watching, I have a newsletter. So if you go to my website, cflemish.com, every month I release a short story. I'm not publishing those short stories. I have released 5 so far. So at the end of the month, if you like short stories, sign up for the newsletter. It doesn't cost anything, and I'll be more than happy to just send you a short. This month we're going to do something with a Ouija board, so that's going to be a fun one. I'm writing a series of 4 books called Elementals, so obviously air, water, fire, earth, and then I'm writing a paranormal detective, so supernatural detective series. That's going to be at least 9 books, one for each level of hell from Dante's Inferno. So those are in the works, and then I've been contracted by 2 bigger names in the music industry to write their autobiographies. So that is work. The other books are fun. So I'm pretty busy writing, and I'm very happy about it. So I'm not done yet. I'm just getting started. My brain never stops. And people like you who enjoy the book, that's what I do it for. I just love writing and telling stories. I'm glad that it captures. I'm glad that I achieved my goal. If you want to follow me, I'm on the Facebooks, I'm on Instagram, on TikTok, on X, and then also, of course, my newsletter on cflemish.com. But love my fans, love all the people, love all the writers here in Texas. Such a great writers community.
Give your website address one more time for people.
It's www.cflemish, Flemish, Flemish.com. And I don't spam people. It's 1 email a month with some updates. And but on all the social medias, I do daily posts and stuff like that.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.